know we had to spin the block again.
Then when the season actually starts, got these niggas rescheduling debates. You know what I'm saying? Bringing forth half-ass PowerPoints on their debates. I'm like, well, I thought you was ready. The preseason, in the off time, you was like, let's debate. So that's why you're supposed to be preparing now. It's a long season. This is why I always tell y'all.
Let's debate.
This where the best of the best collide and go edit on the internet. We coming for each other neck. You want me to show some respect to your scholarship? Let's debate. I hope you ready for war. You doing all that talking but don't want no smoke. What did you come in here for? You know what we got going on. Are you really with it? Let's debate. Solar vision is the only vision in the universal telescope. Everyone else gotta go. Intelligence level, it ain't even close. Let's debate. I ain't scared of none of y'all. I ain't backing up for none of y'all. Going in on every one of y'all. PowerPoint like a Draco. I'm about to let 100 off. Let's debate. This where the stars shine bright. It's time to decide where your side of the line is. This is our life, so please be reminded. Everything you say, we will rewind it. Highlight your soundbite when we find it. Hindsight, your eyesight is not blinded. My life and timeline, a real diamond. To go find you someone to co-sign. It's on sight, you low life with no light. And I don't write, just go with your neck bow tight. And there's no light with every day they go by. And I don't mind being the guy that you don't like. In high demand, I supply the web. I'm a fly guy, no spider web. You see a flight of stairs, there's an idol there. They won't work for life, but they'll hire death. But I'd rather listen to my higher self. Meditate and take me to a higher realm. If the education board diagram give me funny feelings in my diaphragm. And the medication full of fire ants. Council culture, counsel your entire camp. Lead by example, they responding to me, reading every letter like an eye exam. My descendants sing entire hymns. My ideals cry from the highest tier. Drug addicts weeping, that's the highest tier. When there's a need for knowledge, that's when I appear. And they do not teach this in college. They make us an offer and see we compete with the scholars. But we are not bothered by mammon. It's all in the fan. Just imagine the famine affecting your family. Global pandemic infecting your family. Satellite image can't pick up humanity. Newer technology, purpose abolished to grow in the flowers organically. This where the scientists intersect with the Zionists. Intellect and the dialect, like upgrade biotech. And we ain't even read your bio yet. You way up there, nose bleeding. You done make it to the postseason. I beat you, it wasn't close neither. Now I'm back to hunt you like your old demon. Your entire premise worn out like old sneakers. Blown out like old speakers. Thrown out like old leaders. Pay attention what the soul teaches. Now that the price of gold cheaper, but the gold deeper this season, folks.
Get your information together now. Start your PowerPoints on some of the topics that you want to debate right now. Because you're trying to jump right back in the ring. It's a marathon, family. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Let go.
Shuckle, everybody shuckle, shuckle. Solar mind gon' make you shuckle, everybody shuckle, everybody. Solar mind gon' make you shuckle, everybody shuckle, solar mind gon' make you shuckle, everybody shuckle.
So with that being said,
let's debate. This where the best of the best collide and go edit on the internet. We coming for each other neck. You want me to show some respect to your scholarship? Let's debate. I hope you ready for war. You doing all that talking but don't want no smoke. What did you come in here for? You know what we got going on. Are you really with it? Let's debate. Solar vision is the only vision in the universal telescope. Everyone else gotta go. Intelligence level, it ain't even close. Let's debate. I ain't scared of none of y'all. I ain't backing up for none of y'all. Going in on every one of y'all. PowerPoint like a Draco. I'm about to let 100 off. Let's debate. God is lit in the ashtray. I'm outside with the savages. Affiliation of intelligence. Whole team gold medalists. Perfect combination of the elements. The champion remain anonymous. Post-apocalyptic catastrophic population. They become the scavengers. We got a Bible crew. That's a tribal group. But with the old and new. And if they only knew that the new was old and the old is new. But the young knows what the old is new. Doesn't matter how much love you show them from your heart. They cannot never stand the sight of you. Yeah. Don't you wanna tell the truth for one singing like that would be very polite of you. Yeah, this alternate current too powerful for them. Listen, I am here to enlighten you. Military-minded tanks on the ground. Make sure that your argument fireproof. Political plug, government rebel. They blaming it on Tasmanian devil. Embedded inside the minds of the country's community elders. Feathers of Maya get heavier every year. Yeah. We just keep getting better every year. Yeah. I just wanna make that very clear. Yeah. Make you disappear like you would never hear. Yeah. and it's still good versus evil. And I OD when the G move. The U2 scream dangerous. They'll take advantage and mislead you. Got your third eye open, me too. Parallel universe, see through. Spirit molecule, take a deep dive in that gene pool. I'm the vessel the Almighty speak through. Speak to anyone that seek to. Knock me on my feet, I defeat too. I need peace too. I gotta eat too when I see food. And I still kick it with my day ones. Black melanated got his A1, A9, Trayon, State Farm. We in solar system making space for 'em. Stay calm when they calm. They arm and they palm. Napalm, explode on them. Cut them up like a lawnmower. Unload on them like a gun owner. But not the one with the baton on them. Not the one who only feeling important when they rockin' Louis Vuitton on them. Not the one who turned it back on God and forgot what he done for 'em. Season 4, rare form. Let go. Rio.
SVBL, we back on the block again. Popping in real life, you can have them fairy tales. Season 4, we right back on the top again. Number 1 debate league, and that ain't hard to tell.
Welcome to the sun, to the sun, to the sun.
Charm on the track, on the track.
Welcome to the sun, to the sun, to the sun.
Charm on the track, on the track. Charm on the track, on the track. Charm on the track, on the track.
to the sun, to the sun, to the sun.
Charm on the train.
Welcome to the sun, to the sun, to the sun.
Charm on the train.
Where's Solar at? He gets snatched up.
Charm on the train.
I was getting ready to back out. That was my phone.
He got snatched up. Solar, we can't hear you.
Charm on the train.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Everybody, welcome to the Solar Debate. Solar Vision Debate League. When you walk in the room, hit that like button. Alright? Yes. Where?
Yeah, like
Charm on the train.
Welcome to the sun, to the sun, to the sun.
I got swooped up again.
I want this to be a nice, clean debate, man. No hair pulling, no throwing dirt in the eyes. I'm gonna try to get focused, man. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do.
Peace. What's good, family? I don't know what the hell y'all doing right now.
but
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on?
Got it, coach.
I think they can hear us though. I think he playing the music.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
they can, we can hear
he
y'all.
muted, so we can't hear the music.
Yeah, they can hear y'all. What's going on? What's going on, family? This is your boy Solar Mind. I am here live with the Orthodox Moor and out the blue. So when you come in the building, hit the like button. When you come in the building, family. This is season 2 of the Solar Vision Debate League. And we're gonna see how this thing right here goes down, because this is what you call a marquee matchup. A marquee matchup, 2 playoff bound debaters from last season. They're going at it, and we're gonna see who stands tall in the first week of Solar Vision Debate League regular season. This is another Rock Nation Yahweh War Machine debate. So we'll see how it turns out, you know. We had a new member of the Yahweh War Machine, a rookie. Smacked the crown off of the king's head, man, last night. It was crazy. So, you know, I'm still trying to cope with that. You know, I felt some type of way. But we got Orthodox Moore in the building right now, along with Out the Bluu. So let's introduce the debaters before we get into all that. We'll deal with that later. What's going on, Out the Bluu?
What's going on? What's going on? Power and chaos. Praise Stimia. I want to say shout out to the master teacher Nimrod. Shout out to the Rock Nation, Deacon of Darkness, the champ, Chris Harris, aka the Phenom. Man, let's do it.
And we got the Moorish assassin. What's going on? Orthodox Moore.
Peace, peace, peace. All praise to the Most High Power of Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and Jacob. How y'all living, family?
All right. So this is what we call a rapid interrogation. Now, this is what I may do for the rest of the season. I may just go rapid interrogation the rest of the season. I ain't even got to choose. It's just rapid interrogation. That's just what it is. Y'all can select the minutes, how long y'all want it to be. But from now on, it's just rapid interrogation. Fuck it. So after week 1, we just go on rapid interrogation. Because I kind of missed it rapid fire around a little bit. I'm kind of missing it right now. You know? So we're just going to go rapid interrogation. We got the judges in the building. You know? We got Sister Amber. How you doing, Sister Amber?
I'm wonderful. Glad to be here. I need to see some energy. I need to see some passion, some facts. I need to be fed something today. So we've got 2 great brothers debating. I'm ready to see some action.
All right. And we got Table of Kings. What's going on, Table of Kings?
Yo, what's up? What's up to the league? Shalom to everybody, man. Shout out to the league. Hit the like button. Yo, this Solar, man. You got two heavyweights in the ring right now, man. I got my gavel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want y'all to do y'all thing today, and let's get it started.
And yours truly will be judging the debate as well. Y'all know I'm biased as hell, so I don't go fuck. But anyway, we're going with a standard format outside of the rapid interrogation aspect of it. There'll be a 5-minute open, 10-minute premise, 10-minute rebuttal. They're going to do a 15-minute rapid fire, so that may be 8 minutes apiece, and then they'll get into the interrogation, 10-minute interrogation, then a 5-minute closing. So we're going to get right into this thing, man, because guess what? We got another crazy one after this. Suave Beezy will be in the building. He's going up against Outside the Cube. The topic of that debate will be, are people more intelligent today or 2,000 years ago and back? That will be an interrogation match. So, let's go ahead and set this timer for 5 minutes for the opening for the brother Out the Bluu. Out the Bluu has a presentation that he's going to share with us. Do you want me to share screen now with your presentation, or you want to wait till the premise round?
No, I'm a wait till after the premise. This is the premise right now,
no, this
right?
is the opening.
Okay, yeah. I'm okay, and it's a 10-minute. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm wait until after that. Let me just go ahead and open up real quick.
All right, so whenever you're ready, you can begin your opening, brother.
All right. Now, the title of this debate is the Bible that we have today Greco-Roman or Afro-Asiatic? Now, the Bible that we have today, my main points on showing that is Greco-Roman. Number one, in origin, we see based on the consensus that the first or the original translation of the text was the Septuagint. Another thing that we see is that there is no Christianity in Ethiopia until after the Council of Nicaea. And then it becomes mandated by the king of Axum. Also, we see that the Ge'ez was more than likely based on the only translation at that time of the Hebrew text, which at that time there was no Hebrew text, was the Septuagint. The Ge'ez would have had to been a translation of the Septuagint. I will be able to show that the person that brought the Ge'ez also came from under the Greco-Roman rulership, the same way that the person that tutored the king of Axum, who also decided to take on the Christianity and the Bible that we have today. So that's pretty much my opening, and I'm ready to go.
All right, so let's get it. Let's turn this thing over to Orthodox Moore. Orthodox Moore, is on you, brother.
Peace, family. What it is. Hold on real quick. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So the title of this debate, family, is the Bible we have today Greco-Roman or Afro-Asiatic? My premise will be that I will show is the Bible was Afro-Asiatic by linguistic origin. The Afro-Asiatic languages are subdivided into Berber, Chadic, Cushitic, Egyptian, Omatic, and Semitic. I'll also show that the biblical liturgical tradition is Afro-Asiatic in origin via the hymn to the Aten, the instructions of Amenemop, and other Sabaeid, the Silver Scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Orit or the Torah, and the Peshitta. Also, part of my premise is that the Bible's Afro-Asiatic by spiritual practice. The biblical tradition is one of many Afro-Asiatic traditions that takes a monotheistic or monolatric perspective of a tradition that was previously thought to be henotheistic or polytheistic in its tradition, i.e. the Egyptian tradition of Akhenaten, the Israelite tradition of Moses, and the Arabian tradition of Muhammad. You see that they're all looking back towards a previous set of gods that everyone's in the area is talking about, and they're looking at it with a different perspective, saying, you know what, this is the one God, and this is how we should worship that one God. When you look at the Greco-Roman history, they don't have a history of monotheism like that, and I'll get into that later. They don't have a history of taking older gods and saying that these gods should be looked at in a monotheistic way. That's not the Greco-Roman tradition. That is an Afro-Asiatic tradition. The Greco-Roman tradition lifted that tradition from the Afro-Asiatic tradition and proceeded to separate themselves from it and did not keep it monotheistic. And I will emphatically show that in my rebuttal round. Also, I will show that the Bible is Afro-Asiatic by cultural practices. Part of the biblical tradition we find is circumcision, of which the oldest known records are found in Egypt, an Afro-Asiatic culture, not Greco-Roman. Part of the biblical tradition we find is tithing, one of which the oldest traditions goes back to Ugarit in Babylon. Again, Afro-Asiatic cultures, not Greco-Roman. Bluu's premise is that the Septuagint is supposedly the only ordained translation before any other translation. And that also that we don't see Christianity in Ethiopia until after the Council of Nicaea, when it becomes mandated. Also that the Ge'ez had to be translated from the Septuagint. My counter to Bluu's premise will be this, that the Greek, Syrian, and Ethiopian traditions say that their Torahs came from being translated from Hebrew into their respective tongues.
Hold on 1 second, Ortho. Mute your mic out, brother Bluu, because we hear some feedback.
My fault. I got you.
Appreciate you. Bluu just said in his opening that the oldest translation they know of is the Septuagint. So what was it translated from? I will show that the Greek, Syrian, and Ethiopian traditions stipulate that it was translated from Hebrew. The Council of Nicaea was not before the Second Temple period tradition, and Ethiopian Jews, nor did the Council of Nicaea set the biblical canons of either the Ethiopian Jews or Ethiopian Christians. I will also show that the Ethiopian Jewish liturgical tradition was in Hebrew before Ge'ez, i.e. the Ethiopian eunuch had a Hebrew scroll of Isaiah via Drusilla Denji Houston's book, The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, chapter 10, page 63. How much time I got left, Solar?
You got 1 minute and 19 seconds.
So something that's striking me as interesting is Bluu is going to cite a manuscript, a fragment, when he's talking about the Septuagint and the oldest piece that it goes back to. Not a full Septuagint, a Septuagint fragment. And there's going to be an inconsistency in his methodology in the fact that when I start citing fragments or anything else like that, he's not going to accept it. Now, based upon his own methodology and what comes out of his mouth, he should be accepting these earlier fragments as leading towards an earlier tradition, but he's not going to, which is going to show an implicit bias and him trying to twist the facts to basically smash a square peg into a round hole. But I will emphatically show that is not the case. And with that, I'll yield the balance of my time. Thank you, family.
All right. So let's get into this thing, man. This is going to be a very interesting one right here. I already see it. This is going to be like, whoever lose, they're going to feel some type of way, you know what I mean? Because I think that pretty, both people got a solid argument. It's all about the presentation at this point. And Orthodox Maury's playing psychological games with you, You notice how, like, his points he made in all capitals and out the blue points he kind of had lowercase. It's all psychological, man. So we're going to hand this thing over to Out the Blue. Brother, you got 10 minutes. I'm going to set the timer. And,
Yep, you can start my slide.
Let me go ahead and set the timer real quick. All right. And we're going to go ahead and share a screen so we can get your slide popping. So let me go ahead and take it here. And can you see? Yeah, they can see. So whenever you're ready, brother.
All right.
We can begin.
And so the first thing I'm gonna start out with canon law, right? And the reason why I'm gonna start out with canon law, because we're gonna find out what canon law is and who all falls under canon law. So canon law, from Greek canon, a straight measuring rod or ruler, is a set of ordinances and regulations made by the ecclesiastical authority, aka church leadership, for the government of a Christian organization or church and its members. It is the internal ecclesiastical law or operational policy governing the Catholic Church, both the Latin Church and the Eastern Catholic churches, the Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox churches, and the individual national churches within the Anglican commune. So notice that it said the Oriental Orthodox churches. That's very key. The way that such church law is legislated, interpreted, and at times adjudicated varies widely among these three bodies of churches in all three traditions. A canon was originally a rule adopted by a church council. These canons formed the foundation of canon law. You can move to the next slide, please. You already there?
Yeah.
Cool. So what we see right now, we also have
from the stream. You should watch it from the actual hangout. That way it won't be.
I'm using my slide.
Okay.
And so what we have right here, right? We have the Oriental Orthodoxy Church. The Oriental Orthodox Church is composed of 6 autocephalous churches: the Coptic Orthodox Church of Alexandria, the Syriac Orthodox Church of Antioch, and the Armenian Apostolic Church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, and the Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo Church, and the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church. So notice that in the first slide, it also listed the Oriental Orthodox churches. That's why we're going into who's under the canon authority. We can move to the third slide. So now the third slide, right, what we get into is the sources of canon law, right? The church endowed by its founder with legislative power makes laws in conformity with natural and divine law. The sources of authors of the positive ecclesiastical laws are essentially the episcopal and its head, the Pope, the successors of the Apostolic College, and its divinely appointed head, Saint Peter. They are, properly speaking, the active sources of canon law. Their activity is exercised in the most solemn form of the ecumenical councils, where the episcopate united with its head and convoked the presidents over by him, with the defines its teaching and makes the laws that bind the whole church. The canons of the ecumenical councils, especially those of Trent, hold an exceptional place in ecclesiastical law, but without infringing on the ordinary power of the bishops, the Pope, and head of the episcopate, possesses in himself the same powers of the episcopate united with him. The sovereign pontiff. It is true that the disciplinary and legislative power of the popes has not always, in the course of the centuries, been exercised in the same manner and in the same extent, but in proportions as the administration became centralized, their direct intervention in legislation became more and more marked. And so sovereign pontiff is the most fruitful source of canon law. He abrogates the laws made by his predecessors in the ecumenical councils. He can legislate for the whole church or for part thereof, a country or a given body of individuals, if he is morally bound to take advice and to follow the dictates of prudence. He is not legally obligated to consent of any other person or persons or to observe any particular form. His power is limited only by divine law, natural and positive, dogmatic and moral. Right. Let's see where we are now. And we can go ahead and move to the next slide. This is a picture from the Eastern Orthodox icon depicting the First Council of Nicaea, right? The First Council of Nicaea was the ecumenical council of the church. Most significantly, it resulted in the first uniform Christian doctrine called the Nicene Creed, the creation of the creed, and the precedent was established, and the precedent was established for subsequent local and regional councils of bishops to create statements of belief and canons of doctrinal orthodoxy. the intent being to define unity of beliefs for the whole of Christendom. Now, notice one of the first things he said in his opening was that they were separate and that the first council and that the Council of Nicaea had nothing to do with them. But yet they all fall in line under the same orthodoxy. And they actually only follow the first three councils. Those are the only three that the Oriental Orthodoxy even actually holds to. Right? We're going to go to the next slide, please. Now, what we're looking at here is just this is a relationship between very significant ancient manuscripts of the Old Testament, and the Masoretic text here denotes the LXX and the original Septuagint. Now, what we see the LXX. The source of it is lost. And we see all of the things that branch off from the LXX. Now we can go over to the other lost source, to the right of the LXX. And we see that comes from that, the Aquila, the Symmachus, and then from the Symmachus, we see also from the lost and from the Symmachus, the Vulgate. All of these have lost sources. And the only one that they are claiming to have a source still for it would be the LXX. Correct? Now, according to the Talmud, you can move to the next slide. Now, according to the Talmud and the Karaite manuscripts, stated that the standard copy of the Hebrew Bible was kept in the court of the temple in Jerusalem for the benefit of copyists. There were paid correctors of biblical books among the officers of the temple. This is out of the Talmud tractate Ketubah 106a. This is a copy mentioned in the letter of Aristides, statements of Philo, and also in Josephus. None of these can be substantiated, but okay, we'll take the word for it. So let's say we're taking the word for it that the only copy of the original text was always kept there, as opposed to the letter of Aristides. Now, according to the letter of Aristides, this was taken by Ptolemy of Philadelphia's, made a copy of, and then that, and both copies, including the original Septuagint and the original Hebrew manuscript, which was at that time only the Torah, which would have been just the first 5 books, which has nothing to do with, I mean, it's a part of the Bible, but we're talking about the whole Bible today. So the whole Bible today, we don't just have the first 5 books. We have the Old and the New Testament, right? And so I want to go ahead and move to the next slide real quick. Now, what we see is the faith and the practice of the Orthodox Ethiopian Christians includes elements from the Mispicite Christianity as it has developed in Ethiopia over centuries. Christian beliefs include belief in God, which is the Lord of the universe, veneration to the Virgin Mary, the angels, and the saints, besides others. According to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church itself, there is no non-Christian elements in the religion other than those from the Old Testament or the Orient, like as he mentioned, to which are added those from the New Testament.
All right, time. I gotta get my bell working. My bell not even working. All right, so we're gonna hand this thing now back over to Orthodox More. We're gonna set your timer for 10 minutes, and whenever you ready.
Hold on, give me a quick second. I got a garbage truck passing.
Huh?
I said, give me like 2 seconds. I got a garbage truck passing.
Okay, no doubt. Yeah, just to let you guys know, once again, we're gonna have Swab BZ going up against outside the cube later on. And the topic of that debate will be, let me go ahead and get the screen up so y'all can see. Are people more intelligent today or 2,000 years ago and back? So that'll be the second half of the double header here on Solar Vision Debate League. So make sure you be in the building, family, because it's going down. So let's are you all set, brother?
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh yeah. I gotta get my my bell popping. What's up with my bell? I gotta rock the bells like L. I ain't cannabis, nigga. Let me see. Real quick. Real quick. Gotta get the bells ringing. Ring the bells out this motherfucker. Alright, so we're gonna hand this thing over to Out the Blue. Out the Blue.
No, the Morris Assassin.
Oh, my bad. Morris Assassin. Morris Assassin. We're gonna set this timer for 10 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you can begin. Brother.
Yes, sir. Can you see my screen?
Let me go ahead and share it. Bring up the window. Yeah, we can see the screen now, brother.
Yes, sir. So once again, the brother was talking about lost sources, and again, his Septuagint that he's leaning on for his whole argument, it goes back to fragments, not a solid manuscript. It goes back to fragments, family, and fragments of what? A translation. Underscore that. Fragments of a translation, as he said in his open. So what was it translated from? So he talks about the letters of Aristeas. That's one side of the coin, one side of the pyramid. Let's run through this real quick. The Greek tradition, the letters of Aristeas, or letters of Philocrates, letters to Philocrates, which is mentioned as far back as 160 BC by certain church fathers, etc., states that the Septuagint was translated into Greek from Hebrew by 72 men in 72 days. Now, this is cited from a seminary book in Belgium written by Catholic priests. The origin of the Septuagint, according to the tradition. Over 20 Greek manuscripts copied of the letter are known to survive, dating from the 11th century to 15th century. The letter is also mentioned and quoted in other ancient texts, most notably Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus, circa 93 AD, in Life of Moses by Philo of Alexandria, circa AD 15, and in the excerpt from Astrobulus of Peneus in 160 BC, preserved in Preparatio by Eusebius. Excuse me. You already know what that is. I can't read that right now. But that's just one tradition, right? Let's jump to the Syriac tradition. The Peshitta. It's agreed upon by the consensus of scholars to have had its Old Testament translated from Hebrew. Again, one more time, the Peshitta. This is the Syriac Old and New Testament, right? It's a Syriac Bible. It's by consensus, the scholars agreed that it was translated from Hebrew. Sebastian P. Brock, the Bible in the Syriac tradition, St. Ephraim Ecumenical Research Institute, 1988, quote, from page 13 stipulates the Peshitta, the Old Testament was translated directly from the original Hebrew text, and the Peshitta New Testament directly from the original Greek. Yeah. Now check this out, family. Y'all might not be aware of this. The Ethiopian Orator was translated from Hebrew as well, or at least there's a tradition that says such. The Israeli, matter of fact, let me click on this so y'all can see this. This is from the library, the National Library of Israel. This is Ethiopians bringing them a Torah that was translated from Hebrew in their tradition that's hundreds of years old and yet to be dated. Let's check this out real quick, family. A rare copy of the Orit, or Torah, used by Ethiopian Jews was welcomed into the collection of the National Library of Israel on Monday in 2016, right? To the sounds of singing, spontaneous dancing, ulations, and the handing out of sweets. The book translated from Hebrew to ancient Ge'ez, from the ancient Ge'ez language, was written hundreds of years ago and was used by, among others, the great spiritual leader of Ethiopian Jews, in the Tigray region, Kesasekya. So the original handwritten manuscript of the Arit, the word stems from the Aramaic word Oreta, meaning Torah, contained the 5 books of Moses along with the books of Joshua, Judges, and the book of Ruth. The Arit is part of the Matshahaf Kados, the holy scripture of the Ethiopian community. Now they've had this in their possession for 3 years and have yet to carbon date it. But again, the Ethiopian tradition, the Syriac tradition, and the Greek tradition all stipulate that the translation that it came from was Hebrew. Who also agrees with this? Drusilla Dungy Houston. Again, shout out to Brother Lex for trying to get everybody to go check her out. We're about to hit that Lexicism real quick. Hit that like button while you're at it too. The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Drusilla Dungy Houston. Chapter 10, page 63, The Rich Arabian Literature. This rich Arabian language was the union of the dialects of Northern and Central Semitic Arabians and the Himyaritic of Southern Arabia. This can be proved by the similarity of the roots. The languages had so overlapped that the Cushite inhabitants of Palestine, who were called Samaritans, could converse with the Hebrews. Christ talked with the Samaritan woman at the well. Constant trade relations had unified the tongues. Moses in earlier days had been able to converse with the Ethiopian daughters of Jethro. Gideon and his servant went down to the camp of the Midianites, who were Cushites, he overheard their conversation and understood it. The Queen of Sheba, who was Ethiopian, was able to converse with Solomon. The Ethiopian treasure of Queen Candace was reading. The Ethiopian treasurer or the eunuch of Queen Candace was reading a Hebrew version of the scriptures. One more time, the Ethiopian treasurer or the eunuch of Queen Candace, who you find in Acts, etc., was reading a Hebrew version of the scriptures, i.e., a Hebrew version of Isaiah. So, how much time I got left, Solar? Wow, that's what's up. What is Bluu's evidence that the original text was Greco-Roman, linguistically by origin? And what is older than the Afro-Asiatic text? The chronology Bluu would have us follow is Greco-Roman for sure, 100%. He's talking about a Septuagint fragment that goes back to the 2nd century BC. Cool. Then after that, he's talking about the Codex Sinaiticus, 330, 360 AD. Okay. Codex Vaticanus, 300, 325 AD. Okay. Then the Latin Vulgate, 382, 4, like it was ended it was finished in 4 or 5 AD. Cool. But I'm talking about a whole different chronological situation. I'm having you look at the Afro-Asiatic text based upon the same fragmentary evidence that Bluu's looking at. If I'm gonna look at some fragments, I got to look at all the fragments. First and foremost, I'm talking about people who claim the monotheistic tradition that was around them, right? Or of the gods and the people that were around them. So we can see this going back as far back as the 14th century BC with the hymn to the Aten or Aton. That's also correlated with Psalm 104. We can see this with the instructions of Amenem-Ope, which were recorded in circa 1300 to 1075 BC, which are correlated with Proverbs 22:17 through Proverbs 24:23. We can see this with the silver scrolls that are written in Paleo Hebrew, that are recorded, that are as old as 650 to 587 BC. These have excerpts from Exodus 20 and 6, or language that can be seen as excerpts from Exodus 20 and 6, Numbers 6, 24 and 26, Deuteronomy 5 and 10, 5:10, Deuteronomy 7 and 9, Daniel 9 and 4, and Nehemiah 1 and 5. These are all BC things to look at, family. The Dead Sea Scrolls, going from 408 BC to 318 of the Common Era, which is still earlier than this construct here, in terms of the Codex Sinaiticus, etc., whatnot. We see that they have an Isaiah scroll that goes back to 356 to 103 BC, and that's in Hebrew. Line up with everything that the Queen was talking about. Just Dungy Houston about the Ethiopian eunuch having an Isaiah scroll in Hebrew. Same thing with the Ethiopians themselves saying we kept this tradition orally, and then we had to handwrite this joint. The Council of Nicaea did not set the Ethiopian canon. Ethiopian Jewish non-Nicene, the Ethiopian Jewish non-Nicene canon contains books that are not in the Nicene canon, right? Or the Catholic Bible or the KJV period. You got the Book of Enoch that's there, the Book of Jubilees, the Ethiopian Book of Maccabees, which is different than the Greek Book of Maccabees, right? You got the Testaments of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You don't find those in any other traditions. That's not in the Septuagint. And check this out. You got concepts like the Book of Abraham being corroborated by the Quran in Surah 87, ayat 9 through 19. That's another Semitic, another Afro-Asiatic tradition corroborating this concept here, and this other tradition than what Bluu was talking about. The Ethiopian Christians have their own canon as well. The Abba-Garima Bible, going back to 494 AD, also contains Enoch, Jubilees, and the Ethiopian Maccabees. The Ethiopian manuscripts were pillaged in 1868, and this is why you can't get earlier stuff. Check this out, family. This is from the Ethiopian, from the British Library, right? In 1868, a British expeditionary force laid siege to the mountain fortress of Ethiopian Emperor Tawadros in what was then Abyssinia. A 2-day auction of the spoils of war among the victorious troops resulted in more than 1,000 predominantly religious manuscripts making their way to Britain. Check that out one more time. More than 1,000 religious manuscripts being raped and pillaged from the country, with 350 manuscripts ending up in the British Library. Where'd the rest of them go? Where'd the rest of them go? Someone got some explaining to do, right? Bottom line is this. The Nicene Council had nothing to do with controlling what Ethiopia was doing. In fact, Ethiopia rejected it. Ethiopia got its own tradition. Own tradition.
Time. All right, shout out to the Orthodox Moor, aka the Moorish Assassin, for going in. We're going to go ahead and hand this thing back over to Out the Bluu. Out the Bluu is on you, brother. It's time for your rebuttal.
Real quick, I want to go over a quick mistake that he made. He said that the Peshitta comes from out of the Hebrew. No, the Peshitta comes, I just showed the chart. It comes from actually the Phylexian, then from the Lucian, and then ultimately the LXX. So stop. That's Septuagint 2. Let's go on. He said that the traditions was different. I was just getting into some of the traditions that were actually the same. And the Ethiopian, matter of fact, can you pull up my 7th slide one more time, please?
All right.
And this is cited in the top left corner. Y'all can see the Doctrine Archive, 2011. But anyway, the faith and practice of Orthodox Ethiopian Christians include elements and misphasites Christianity as it is developed in Ethiopia over the centuries. Christians' beliefs include the belief in God, right? Veneration to the Virgin Mary, which what the Roman Catholic or Greco-Roman Church does today, and the angels, which they do today, and the saints, which they do today, besides others. According to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church itself, there is no non-Christian element in the religion other than those from the Old Testament. I already stated that. That's the only difference. And we don't just have the Old Testament today. Neither is anybody walking around with the Geese today. So you can mention your books of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You just found those. Why? Because we don't have that in our Bible today. So I don't know what they had way back then. That's all well and good. What we have today is Greco-Roman. Period. You're just not getting around that. And so let me see. So we should be on slide number 8. Right, and here goes. This is just getting into some of the traditions that they do. Right, the Eucharist, right, is given only to those who feel pure, have fasted regularly, and have in general properly conducted themselves in the practice of communion. Is mainly limited to the young children and elderly. Those who are at a sexually active age or who have sexual desires generally do not receive the Eucharist. Worshippers receiving communion may enter the middle ring of the church to do so. So yeah, there may be a little slight difference. Just like at my church, there's a slight difference. Just like at the Kingdom Hall, it's a slight difference. But at the end of the day, they're gathering together to drink the blood and to take part in eating the flesh. Moving on. Ethiopian Orthodox believers are strict Trinitarians, maintaining the Orthodox teaching that God is united in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This concept is known as the Selassie Geese for Trinity, which is which is Geese for Trinity. Daily services constitute only a small part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Christians' religious observance. Several holy days require prolonged services, singing and dancing, and feasting. An important religious requirement, however, is the keeping of fast days, during which adherents abstain from consuming meat and animal products and refrain from sexual activity. All devout believers maintain a full schedule of fast comprising at least 250 days a year, apart from purely left to the individual decision of faith. So once again, we see the same traditions, only done a little bit. Sometimes at the Baptist church I went to, only the adults and people who were old enough to know could get baptized or could take part in the communion. At other churches, they didn't give a damn. Babies can drink wine and eat of the flesh. Don't know what kind of, what ritual they taking part in or any of that. Let's move on to the next slide, please. This is a picture of Saint Prometheus of Ethiopia, right? Saint Prometheus of Ethiopia. All right, and then you can also pass on to the next slide after that. And it says Saint Prometheus. He was ethnically a Syro-Phoenician Greek born. I'll say it again. He was ethnically a Syro-Phoenician Greek born in Tyre. As a boy, he was captured with his brother and they became slaves to the king of Axum. He freed them shortly before his death, and they were invited to educate his young heir. They also began to teach Christianity in the region. Later, Prometheus traveled to Alexandria, Egypt, where he appealed to have a bishop appointed and missionary priest sent south to Axum. Thereafter, he was appointed bishop, and established the church in Ethiopia, converting many local people, as well as the king. His appointment began a tradition that the Patriarch of Alexandria appoint the bishops of Ethiopia. Come on, man. I mean, that's it right there. We can move on to the next slide. This is just a show of this is just some of the references for the last slides that I was just going over. Couldn't put them all on there. That's a quick reference for y'all. We can move on to the next slide. We see the librarium was a vexillum that displayed the chi-rho or the shiro symbol, a Christogram formed from the first two Greek letters of the word Christ, which is the Shi, and Rho. It was used by the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. Since the vexillum consisted of the flag suspended from the crossbar of a cross, it was ideally suited to symbolize the crucifixion of Christ. Now, are you at what slide? Can you go to the 11th slide?
All right.
All right. It should say wealth of Africa, the kingdom of Ascom. Right. And so when we go into this is from the British Museum.org, and we see page 8. When we go, this is from a book that I got off of there. This is the wealth of Africa, the kingdom of Ascom. This is under the teacher's notes. Coinage. This is dealing with the coins. Coins have a unique significance in the history of Ascom. They are particularly important because they provide evidence of Ascom and its rulers. The inscription on the coin highlight the fact that the Ascomites were a literate people with knowledge of both Ethiopic and Greek languages. It is generally thought that the first Ascomite coins were intended for international trade. These coins bearing the name of King Anubis, that's 270 to 290 AD, were mainly struck in gold and silver and followed the weight standard which existed in the Roman Empire. Now watch this. Initially, the symbol of the crescent and the disc, which has nothing to do with Christianity or the Bible that we have today, right? This was what was used on the coins, right? On early Ascomite coins. However, after the conversion of King Gazana, right, around 340 to 356 AD, who was he converted by? Saint Prometheus, aka his tutor, who came from where? Greek. So after he was converted, guess what he does with the coins? Excuse me, give me 1 second. I lost my spot. South Arabia, in which I hear around 340 AD, a powerful statement was conveyed by the king's decision to replace the existing symbols with a cross, which clearly denoted the importance that Christianity had in the kingdom. This is 340 to 356 AD, after the Council of Nicaea. Saint Prometheus came from the Council of Nicaea. We already see that, where he ends up tutoring the king of Axum, who ends up doing what? Instituting Christianity. And immediately he starts putting it on the coins, right? After the conversion of King Gazana in 340 to 356 AD, a powerful statement was conveyed by the king's decision to replace the existing symbols, which was the crescent, right, and the disc, with the cross. Clearly denoted the importance of Christianity to the kingdom. The coins also had a portrait of the ruler's obverse and reverse of the coin, along with the telf, a local type of wheat. Inscription were another form of information included on the coins. For the most part, the gold coins were inscribed in Greek and were often intended for exports, while silver and copper coins were in Ge'ez. From the 4th century AD, an increasing number of copper coins were issued, which had evidently Christian inscriptions such as "Joy and peace to the people," and "He conquers through Christ," which they every Sunday church.
All right. Shout out to Orthodox. Out the Blue for dropping that science. We're gonna hand this thing over to Orthodox Moore. Orthodox Moore, you also have 10 minutes for your rebuttal. Whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So real quick, family, there's 3 things I want to address off the top. So he keeps saying the Bible we have today. We have today. We have today. I'm saying I'm Afro-Asiatic. I'm not Greco-Roman, right? So when he keeps saying we, I don't know what he's talking about. Is he saying he's Greco-Roman? Because he's definitely not claiming. He's doing everything he can not to claim an Afro-Asiatic descendancy of a tradition, even though the fragmentary evidence leads him towards doing so. He hasn't addressed not one time anything before the date that he wants to address. I mean, that's very, 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 very telling. I mean, let me go share my screen one more again and show you what he passed up again. Because he decided to say that none of this exists. It's not their family. Nothing from the 14th century BC, nothing from the 4th century BC, nothing from the 3rd century BC, nothing from the 1st century BC, none of that stuff, right? Not there. And certainly not in Hebrew or in any other Afro-Asiatic language, like Paleo-Hebrew, Hetic, nothing, right? None of that stuff, right? So that's just mind-boggling right there. It's all got to start with the Greek for my. So he's saying who the we are. On top of that, hold on, let me jump down to here real quick. Let me jump up to here real quick. Ge'ez is not the only Afro-Asiatic language, and I appreciate my brother trying to dismantle the Ethiopian New Testament. I can appreciate that, but you're making your whole argument based upon the translation of the Old Testament, translation of the Torah, right? So talking about an Ethiopian king being converted to Christianity, that's one thing. Cool, got you. But what was the tradition of the people before that king? And what did they say they come from? So they say they came from a Jewish tradition. And when you go check them out, when you go check out the history of them, they go back to a 2nd century period. They're talking about like 500 BC, etc. and whatnot. Before that. But on top of that, hold on, where are we at? Did I lose it? I hope I didn't. No, here we go. Even the modern day Jews say this. The Ethiopian Judaism is nearly identical to that practice during the Second Temple period. Second Temple period. They don't even talk to each other on the Sabbath. That's not something they do in Israel, fam. When is the Second Temple period? (515 BCE to 70 CE). That's 515 goes back a damn sight farther than the Septuagint he's trying to talk about, yeah? A damn sight farther. And everything that I've shown you so far is that all the scholars agree, and the people who are bringing out a tradition agree to the concept of where is it at? That the Greek tradition, that the Syriac tradition, and that the Ethiopian tradition all talk about the concept of their books being translated from Hebrew into their respective traditions. Where did I have it? There we go. Right there. It all comes from the Hebrew. Now, getting back to what I'm talking about, right? Because he's not dealing with that in any way, shape, or form. Where are we at? Actions speak louder than words. What's your tradition? How do you act? What do you do? Again, I said part of the biblical tradition that we find is circumcision, of which the oldest known records are found in Egypt, and again, an Afro-Asiatic culture, not a Greco-Roman culture. The earliest historical record of circumcision comes from Egypt in the form of an image of the circumcision of an adult carved into the tomb of Ankh-Mahor at Saqqara, dating to about 2400 to 2300 BCE. Now check this out. The Greeks and the Romans abhorred circumcision, and they even outlawed circumcision. This is not something that's native to them. This is not something they care about like that. By Peter Charles Romandino, 1891, History of Circumcision, page 65 through 69. In 167 BC, Judea was part of the Seleucid Empire. Its ruler Antiochus, smarting from a defeat in a war against Ptolemaic Egypt, banned traditional Jewish religious practices and attempted to forcibly let the Jews accept Hellenistic culture. Throughout the country, Jews were ordered with the threat of execution to sacrifice pigs to Greek gods. Pigs to Greek gods. The normal practice in ancient Greek religion. Desecrate the Shabbat, eat unkosher animals, especially pork, and relinquish their Jewish scriptures. Antiochus' decree also outlawed Jewish circumcision. So the Greco-Roman thing, they don't rock with circumcision, but that's a definite Afro-Asiatic, and you can see that in all kind of Afro-Asiatic cultures, and definitely all the monotheistic traditions and Abraham tradition, and even the Kemetic tradition. Roman Emperor Hadrian outlawed circumcision, which helped lead to the Bar Kokhba revolt of 132 through 136 CE. So you got Romans and Greeks outlawing circumcision, but in Genesis, in our scrolls, which goes back again, these scrolls go back to how far? These scrolls go back to how far? My man's not trying to deal with none of this stuff. These scrolls go back to how far? This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Moving forward. Part of the biblical tradition we find is tithing, of which the oldest tradition goes back to the Ugrit in Babylonian culture. Again, Afro-Asiatic. We see this mandated in the Torah again, right? Let's see below are some of the specific instances of Mesopotamian tithe taken from the Assyrian Dictionary of the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago, Volume 4E, page 369. This bangs out a whole bunch, referring to a 10% tax levied on garments from the local ruler. The palace has taken 8 garments as your tithe, on 85 garments, 11 garments as tithe on 112 garments. The sun god Shamash demands the tithe. 4 minas of a silver, the tithe. Even the ancient gods of the area dealt with the tithe. That's not something that the Romans and the Catholics taught. Check this out. This is from the Catholics themselves, right? Catholic.com. Their position on tithing. Remember, tithing was an Old Testament obligation that was incumbent on the Jews under the laws of Moses. Christians are dispensed from the obligation of tithing 10% of their income, but not from the obligation to help the church. Now look at the difference between them and the Ethiopians here. Now check this out. This is OCA. This is OCA. This is the Orthodox Church in America. In America. In America. He's talking about we don't got this today? In America. Even though tithing is from the Old Testament, it should not be seen as something that should not be practiced, such as stoning. We would also recommend that Christians ignore the 10 Commandments because they're found in older rather than the New Testament. One more time, the Ethiopian tradition, no, you shouldn't not tithe. Don't see it as an antiquated practice. The Catholics say, no. We're dispensed from this obligation, but still give me my money. Greco-Roman, Afro-Asiatic. And what's the split in the tradition? Again, he brought it up. He brought it up with Anzana and with Frumentius. Frumentius, who was of Syrian, Phoenician, and Greek lineage, but was from Tyre, from Syria, not from Greece, from Syria. He was an Arian Christian. Arianism was this whole concept that the Nicene Creed was even based around. What was the point of that? To find out, or to deal with this concept. Hold on, where is it? The Arian controversy. What is the Arian controversy? My brother talked about the Trinity. There's nothing wrong with the Trinity, right? However, at the Council of Nicaea, the concept of monotheism was seen as heretical because the Arian controversy was that the Son was not equal to the Father, that he was subservient to the Father. But at Nicaea, they said that was heretical, that you had to see the Son as equal to the Father. Now you have this concept of 3 equal gods. This whole difference between triunity and trinity. This is why the Quran, another Semitic, another Afro-Asiatic tradition says, say God is not 3. Say he is unified. You have this same concept in the Torah about the Shema, saying that Yahweh is Elohim, that he is plural, but he's also unified. This concept of the Son being equal to the Father is specifically a Greco-Roman concept, and it makes it non-monotheistic. Non-monotheistic.
All right. So shout out to the Moorish assassin first.
the interrogation first, if you would.
All right. So, what's this thing? Reconnect. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set this timer for 10 minutes for the interrogation.
I thought we were going 7 for the interrogation, 15 for the
7 for the interrogation, 15 for the rapid fire.
Yeah, because you said we were limited to a half hour on that.
Okay, I got you. All right, so let's do that. Let's set the timer for 7 minutes. Orthodox Moore, since Out the Blue went first, you get to ask the first question, family.
Okay. Bluu, is the
Septuagint? He's interrogating you right now, right?
Yeah, he's interrogating you right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm in control of the time right now. Is the Septuagint older than the Dead Sea Scrolls? Yes or no?
The Septuagint we have today?
Is the oldest Septuagint manuscript that we can find older than the oldest Dead Sea Scroll manuscript?
Yes, according to 250 BC.
So what are you saying is the oldest
translated?
What's the oldest Septuagint manuscript, Bluu?
The Codex Aleppo, I think.
No, sir. Hold on. I'm gonna share my screen to help y'all out a little bit. We're gonna do a little bit of teaching right
sir. Well, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Make your point.
No, you good. You interrogate me.
Oldest Septuagint manuscripts. Bam. So you got two of the oldest ones. One goes back to the 1st century BC. The oldest goes back to the 2nd century BC. Can we agree on that? You see my screen?
Hold on. Okay, you got. Hold on. What you see? The Dead Sea Scrolls, or what do you have up there? Second, my
first question.
Bro, that's the first. The Dead Sea Scrolls are no older, bro, than the 1st century to the 2nd century. That's either 1st century AD or 1st century BC, bro. Between those two periods, which is not before the supposed Septuagint was written, bro, which is 250 BC. I don't even know why that's even up, because that has nothing to do with the Bible that we have today.
So the family just heard him cite the 2nd century BC, correct? And so early in my presentation, I cited the Isaiah scroll from the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is dated back 356 BC to 103 BC. Is the range of that older or younger than the Septuagint?
Brother, the Septuagint is the Torah, and Isaiah is not in the Septuagint.
I asked you a simple question. Is the Isaiah scroll found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, is the range of that date older or younger than the Septuagint?
That range of that date that you're giving is older than the Septuagint.
Okay, cool. Appreciate you. Is the Septuagint older than the Silver Scrolls? Is the oldest manuscript from the Septuagint older than the Silver Scrolls?
According to the consensus, no, it's not older than the Silver Scroll.
Got it, Coach. Is the Septuagint older than the instructions of a Menem Opé?
No.
Is the Septuagint manuscript older than the Hymn to the Aten?
No.
Does the Septuagint contain the Book of Enoch? Yes or no?
No.
Does the Septuagint contain the Book of Jubilees? Yes or no?
No.
Does the Septuagint contain the Ethiopian Maccabees? Yes or no?
No.
Does the Septuagint contain the testaments of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Yes or no?
No.
Do the Ethiopian Jews and Ethiopian Christians follow the canon from the Catholic Church? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do the Catholics follow the canon from the Ethiopian Jews and the Ethiopian Christians?
Excuse me, canon or canon law?
Canonical scrolls, the biblical texts. Canonical texts. What texts do they hold sacred?
They're close. I'll say they're close.
Okay. Does the Catholic Church consider the Book of Enoch as canon? Yes or no?
No.
Does the Catholic Church consider the Book of Jubilees canon? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Does the Catholic Church consider the Ethiopian Book of Maccabees canon? Yes, no?
No.
Okay. Does the Catholic Church consider the Testaments Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob canon? Yes, no?
No.
Okay, this is getting interesting. So how much time I got left? So if the basis for all of your conjecture is the manuscripts of the Septuagint and the Greek tradition, the Syriac tradition, and the check this out, to Israel themselves with their own text translated from Hebrew from themselves. What basis are you stipulating from a scholastic point of view, not your personal point of view, a scholastic point of view, that there's no older manuscripts than the Septuagint scrolls or manuscripts?
I said the oldest translation of the Bible that we have today is the Septuagint, not the Septuagint manuscripts. It's
okay,
based
so
off of
was the Septuagint not based on the manuscripts or no?
Supposedly the Septuagint is supposed to be based off of the Hebrew.
So that's the scholarly consensus that the translation that came from was Hebrew, correct?
Supposed to be, yes.
So what are you standing on scholastically with any form of like actual proof, data, any form of research, etc., that stipulates that it wasn't Hebrew?
I didn't say that it wasn't. We don't have it today, that Hebrew book. The only thing we have is what we have from what? The Septuagint. No, that's all we have.
When you say we, who's we? Because you got me confused, bro. Because like I'm looking at, I got 3 Ethiopian churches in my state. I'm looking at a whole group of churches from Egypt to Eritrea to Ethiopia, etc., that don't know what you're talking about.
Cool. Can you show me anything before 494 where before Abba Garima shows up? Can you show me any text as like we have today, a Bible that we have today before 494 AD?
Did you see me bring up the Orit that was brought from the Ethiopian?
That's the Torah. That's the Torah, brother.
So the Torah is not part of the Bible?
The Torah is part of the Bible.
So was the Septuagint that you're citing a complete Old and New Testament? So that don't even make sense.
Excuse me, brother. Is the Bible that we have today, does it contain the Torah or is it the Torah?
Yes.
Yes, what? It contains the Torah or it is the Torah?
Yes, it's both. If you follow it, it's both. I don't know how you don't understand that.
So the New Testament is Torah?
So real quick, did them Ethiopian Jews not bring up that Torah from Hebrew translated?
Is the New Testament Torah?
If you follow for law, yeah.
Will the consensus say that the New Testament is Torah?
I have absolutely no idea.
Wow.
Not something I've ever looked into, bro.
Right. Okay, so does the Bible that we have, does the Bible that the Geese come from, is that based off of Abba Garima?
No.
So the Ethiopians are lying about that tradition?
No. So if you actually studied the Frumentius, the guy you brought up, Frumentius is largely credited with the translation of the New Testament, right? That's the New Testament, right? So the Septuagint you're talking about isn't the New Testament; it's the Torah, right? Or it's the Pentateuch, the five books of Moses, etc., right? So again, you're trying to play some red herring stuff and jump to the New Testament when you're standing on the Septuagint. The Septuagint you're talking about can contain the New Testament.
Right. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tawido Church, brother.
Uh-huh.
They only hold a Torah, or does their Bible contain both Old and New Testament?
So they're Christians, so it's supposed to contain the New Testament. The Jews don't have a New Testament in Ethiopia.
Okay, it's based on the Bible.
Where does that tradition come from? Does the Ethiopian Jewish tradition come from the Christian tradition?
It comes from Saint Prometheus.
The Jewish tradition comes from Frumentius in Ethiopia.
No.
What's your facts from that?
No, the Christian. Hold on, man. You ain't even supposed to be questioning.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about Christians. You're talking about Christians in the Jewish tradition. The Christians didn't originate the Torah. You're talking about a Septuagint. It's the Pentateuch. It's the five books of Moses, bro.
You playing games right now, bro, because we're talking about the Bible that we have today.
No, you playing games, dog. I'm telling you what it is.
We don't hold the Orderite today, bro. We hold the Bible, which contains from all the way from Genesis to Revelation.
Bro, them Afro-Asiatic people that brought that to Israel are my Afro-Asiatic brethren. I don't know what you're talking about. You want to be Greco-Roman? Go ahead. I'm Afro-Asiatic.
Brother, does the Orderite contain Revelation? The book of Revelation?
No, sir. It's the Pentateuch.
Does the Orderite contain the book of Matthew? Does
the Septuagint contain the book of Revelations?
Excuse me. It's my turn to ask questions. I'm going to ask you again.
I already answered it, bro. No, it doesn't. It's a Torah. It's a Pentateuch. It's got five books of Moses in it. It's got. So Jews don't rock with Revelation, bro. It's a whole different tradition, bro.
Sir, the Bible that we have today is.
So when you were Torah only, Bluu, did you rock with the New Testament? Yes or no?
Contain Revelation, brother.
There's no Torah. There's no Pentateuch out there that got Revelation.
That we have today contain Revelation.
The New Testament does.
And that makes up the Bible that we have today.
The Bible's different for everybody. The Bible for the Jewish tradition in Ethiopia is not the same as the Christian tradition.
Oh, bro. Hey, let's go ahead and move to the next round.
Oh, so you done with your question then, brother?
Yeah.
All right.
Go back and forth real quick.
Shout out to Bluu. We're gonna hand this thing over to we're gonna start out with Out the Bluu to start off the rapid fire round. So you get to ask the first question in the rapid fire round. Now, once again, this is the rapid fire round, so y'all going back and forth at this point in time. We're gonna set the timer for 15 minutes. And Bluu is on you, brother.
Does the Catholic Church use the cross?
Yes.
Does the Tawido Ethiopic Church use the cross?
My turn. You already asked the question.
Okay, go ahead.
So, when you're talking about Frumentius, right? So Frumentius was an Arian. He followed the Arian tradition, and at one point, the Catholic Pope or a bishop ordered Nzana, or tried to order Nzana to send Frumentius to them to get schooled and corrected on teaching Arianism and no longer do it. Now,
so can you cite the source for that?
I'm asking a question.
Yeah, but you asking a question based on something that I don't have any knowledge of.
I'm gonna cite the same source that you. I'm gonna cite the same source that you use, Wikipedia. How about that?
According to my sources, he was actually being sent. He was actually being. They were actually bringing him because they wanted him to be bishop, not because they were sending him to be corrected. They were actually sending him to be upgraded. So I don't know where you getting that
Okay.
from, bro.
So I was like the letter sent to Inzana and the letter sent to his brother. So moving on with my question. So the Arian tradition, was the Nicene Creed pro or against Arianism?
The Nicene Creed was against Arianism.
Appreciate you. Go ahead and ask your question, bro.
Does the Ethiopic Tawedo Church, the Orthodox Church, do they hold the cross?
They hold a cross. There's more than one.
Right, but they hold the cross.
Sure do. My question, my turn. So in the Arian tradition, in the Arian controversy, is the son subservient? Did Arius believe that the son was subservient to the father or equal to the father?
Arian, he was subservient to the father and did not pre-exist.
Got it, coach. Your turn.
Do the Ethiopic Tawedo Church, do they venerate the Virgin Mary, the Virgin Jesus Christ, the saints, and the angels?
Yeah.
Does the Catholic Church venerate Jesus Christ, the saints, and the angels?
Sorry, buddy, it's my question on you.
Why you gonna let him finish this?
Because I like doing it like that, so you know I am. You know I am, totally. So brother man, so basically the Nicene Creed outlawed monotheism in the sense that that Aten talked about it, or Akhenaten talked about it, Moses talked about it, Muhammad talked about it, all that type of stuff. They didn't recognize just one God; they recognized three. Is that fair to say? Yes, no?
A Trinity? Yes.
Three equal gods, correct? 100% equal, co-equal.
Separate but equal. Yes.
So this is completely against any previous concept of monotheism, correct?
Yes. To an extent, yes.
Now, check this out.
Does the Ethiopic Tawedo Church have a Trinity?
Yes, sir.
Is this Trinity all three of these in heaven?
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
However, in their Trinity, the Son is subservient to the Father. So then.
And what verse do they base that off of?
I of my own self can do nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also says that him and his father are one.
Akkad.
Akkad, correct? So
Yeah.
as I move, you move. Just like that.
All right. Hold on. Let me break it down for you real quick. Because it's like this, actually.
So they both in heaven. Correct?
It's all three at this juncture.
Now, the Arianism, and you said Arianism had a Trinity, or did they have two?
They believed in a Trinity as well, but in their Trinity, they were subservient. There was not equation.
The Catholic Church has a Trinity. We see the Ethiopian Tawedo have a Trinity.
Right, but we see that this Greco-Roman tradition that you're talking about specify that they're breaking away from the Afro-Asiatic tradition of having a monotheism to where there's a one God on top.
Right.
You know what? The Catholics don't have monotheism; they have tritheism.
Okay, the Saint Prometheus show up before or after the Council of Nicaea?
Before.
Excuse me. What year was the Council of Nicaea, sir?
What year was Prometheus born? You said what did he show beforehand? I'm assuming he was born before the Council of Nicaea, sir.
What year? My fault. What year did he start actually teaching, converting the King of Axum to Christianity? Was it before or after the Council of Nicaea?
The people who were already practicing monotheistic traditions, that was after the Council of Nicaea.
Monotheistic traditions, like
Mhm.
what? Was there like the crescent and the moon?
Like the Jews that were there in the second temple period, that the current Israelis say, you know what, our Judaism looks nothing like theirs. They look just like the second temple period from 500 BC.
Can I say that? According to some of the information that I brought out before the Council of Nicaea, was there a crescent and a disc produced on the coins of the kings of Axum?
Sure.
And after the Council of Nicaea, was there a cross now being produced on the coins of Axum?
Yeah. You know what? I've got to see it myself. They're a beautiful sight.
Now, is the crescent and the disc, is that from the Bible that we have today?
So, what?
Is the crescent and the disc, is that from the Bible that we have today?
You can most certainly find the sun and the moon in the Bible. You can find like God is a sun and shield. You can totally find it in the Bible, just like you can find it in the Hymn of the Tent.
So now it's idolized. It's okay to idolize the crescent and the moon.
What you talking about idolizing? You're talking about a coin from the king.
Yeah. So the crescent and the moon had the same exact.
Is a coin a religious symbol?
The crescent and the disc were. They dated back to the Arabians.
Okay. Were they Arabians, Greco-Roman, or Afro-Asiatic?
They were Afro-Asiatic.
Cool. So let's talk about the Septuagint and why you won't go past the why you won't go past the Greek.
I'm not finna let you slide past that. The crescent.
There's nothing to slide past. You're trying to smash a square peg into a round hole talking about like Ethiopian Christians are the origin of the monotheistic tradition in Afro-Asiatic culture. That's not the truth. Are the Ethiopian Christians older or younger than the Hymn of the Tent?
You're not finna do that, bro. You're not finna do that.
I'm definitely finna do that. Are you kidding me? Are the Ethiopian Christians older or younger than Akhenaten, my nigga?
We need
Are the Ethiopian Christians older or younger than Akhenaten?
Younger. My turn.
Got it, coach.
Younger. My turn. Now you just admitted. This isn't the question, but this is clarification. Now you just admitted that the crescent in the moon disc was what? Was Afro-Asiatic.
Yeah.
Now, after the Council of Nicaea, the cross goes onto the coins. Is that Afro-Asiatic or is that of Roman descent?
No, that's definitely Afro-Asiatic.
Brother, can you show me the cross the way we have it on our Bibles today, before Constantine?
No, I can't show you. I can't show you a Christian cross before Christians, or not, or Roman Christians at that. I can show you a cross. I can't show you a Roman Christian cross before Roman Christians.
Does the cross that the Tewahedo Orthodox Ethiopian Church have a line that goes straight up and then a line that goes across that line?
Is it equilateral or is it unequal?
It's unequal.
Dear God.
The same way I just showed Constantine.
So if you, okay, family, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to Lalabella real quick.
It stems straight from Constantine. That's why theirs is more closer to what? From the Council of Nicaea than it is what? Than what we even have today. So the Bible that we have today, bro, has nothing to do with that Bible, because, brother, how many people do you know read Ge'ez today?
All the Ethiopian people that, well, actually the Ethiopian liturgical people, like the priests and whatnot, the regular people read Amharic and they're translating it to English. But real quick,
right.
Just so I can see
here in America,
just so I can hold on real quick. Can y'all see my screen? This is Lalabella. This is an Ethiopian holy site for the Jews and the Christians, yeah? Or excuse me, for the Christians. But this is an equilateral cross. This is not the cross that he was talking about. You can see it from up top. You can see it from up close. I don't know what the brother's saying.
So are you saying that the Bible that we have today stole the cross from there?
No. I'm saying that the Greco-Romans stole their traditions from everyone around them. Like, that's the only thing they did. Like Christianity didn't start with them. because they didn't have.
So they stole their traditions, right? And then what did they do? They
changed them, and they differentiated them at the Council of Nicaea. So we're not going to do monotheism. We're doing tritheism.
And then they put a Bible out too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did tritheism with it. Yeah, and check that. They took out books, right? There's 73 books in theirs, right? How many books? How many books in the Ethiopian Bible?
And it's the Bible that we have
how many?
Today, right?
80. How many? How many books in the Ethiopian Bible? Is it the same amount as the Catholic Bible and the same amount as the KJV? No, sir, not even close. KJV 66, Catholic 73, Ethiopian 81.
So it depends. It's a little bits in here and there.
No, the Bible we have, the Afro-Asiatics, the Bible we have, if you go to the New Testament, Old Testament has 81. We are Afro-Asiatic, not Greco-Roman.
You still see a Trinity.
We are Afro-Asiatic, not Greco-Roman, brother.
Our
Bible.
We still see a veneration of Mary, the saints, and along with the angels. Same thing.
Do they sacrifice to Mary? Do they sacrifice to the angels? Okay, so you're having an issue with the not understanding a tradition, or you want to argue tradition, but you're not talking about is there tradition older or younger?
You're pointing bro, because you're pointing than the
Greco-Roman, and you ain't showing nothing about that. You ain't stood on nothing about that. You're talking about okay, I showed you manuscripts older than.
You're trying to point at the keys like we're going to get somewhat different from what we read in the King James or what we get out of the Septuagint. You're not getting nothing different out of the geese, bro. You're getting the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Why they had to pass the Council of Nicaea? Because you can't get tritheism out of the KJV. You can't get tritheism out of the New Testament text. You can't get tritheism. That's why they had to pass the council to say that it was heretical for you to believe in one God.
A Son and a Christ. They're all three in heaven together, and they all three on one accord. I don't care whether you want to come at me with some
concept. Again, that's the concept of the Son is subservient to the Father in true monotheism. We're talking about tritheism. Spend a lifestyle on Afro-Asiatic people like they're Greco-Roman, and they're not. They believe in one God, not three.
Brother, where does the tradition?
That's why they had to pass the council. That's why they had to pass the council in 325 to stipulate it was heresy to believe in God as one. And the Son being subservient. They had to pass the council and say it's heretical not to believe in the tritheism. Separating themselves from the Afro-Asiatic tradition. What are you talking about? There is no Greco-Roman tradition that they looked at and said, you know what, let's take these gods like Janus or like Apollo or like Adonis and let's make them monotheistic. They didn't do it.
That's not, bro.
That's the Afro-Asiatic culture, brother. They hijacked the culture and then made it tritheistic and not monotheistic. Stop. I'm not lying, bro. You lying through your teeth. You lying through your fuzzy ass dreads. Stop. Knock it off. All right?
So tell me this, brother. Does the kingdom teach that the Father and the Son are equal?
Say that one more time because you cut out.
Does the Kingdom Hall teach that the Father and Son are equal?
What the fuck is the Kingdom Hall?
That's a Bible that we have today, bro.
I don't know what the fuck the Kingdom Hall is, all right? And we are Afro-Asiatic. I'm not Greco-Roman. I don't claim that tradition, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Their tradition is tritheistic and has nothing to do with them taking their own tradition and making it monotheistic. I don't know what you're saying. Did the Greeks and Romans outlaw circumcision? Yes or no? Did the Greeks and Romans outlaw circumcision? Yes or no? Fuck, hold on.
Wait.
Fuck, hold on. Is circumcision in the scroll? No, fuck, hold on. Fuck, hold on. Fuck, hold on. Did they outlaw circumcision? Yes or no? Did the Greeks and the Romans outlaw circumcision? Yes or no?
Did the Greeks and the Romans outlaw when? What time period?
I gave you the dates, my nigga. I'm sorry you weren't paying attention. Did they do it? Yes or no?
Yes, they did it at a time. And then they also what?
Did they specifically inflict it on the Jews like I cited? Did they specifically inflict it on the Jews like I cited?
Bible that we have on plane.
So what about circumcision is Greco-Roman? It originates in Africa. It originates amongst our people, and they outlawed it while they were supposed to be fucking Christian.
BCE, you get the canon. You get it being canonized, and all of the heresies being cleaned up in 325 AD. And guess what you get? from that. The Bible that we have today, bro.
No, we don't.
When I go to church on Sunday,
So the
any
Roman
church
Catholics rock with the 81 books of the Ethiopians?
So,
no, they don't. You lying through your teeth. You lying through your teeth. You lying through your teeth, nigga. You lying through your teeth, nigga.
Hold on. Show us live, bro.
You already said the Catholics don't rock with that Bible. You lying through your teeth, nigga.
Live right now, bro.
You lying through your teeth, nigga.
Show us this Ethiopic Bible.
Time.
Right now.
God damn it. What the fuck? Chill, my niggas. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna close this thing out with Out the Blue. We're gonna set the timer for 5 minutes. This is the closing, family. So, the timer is set for 5. Whenever you're ready, Blue, you can begin your closing. Let me know if you want to share screen.
Yeah. I'm gonna need you to let me see. Hold on. I'm loading up right now. Hold up. All right. Get past that. I want to go ahead.
So you want to share screen, brother?
Yeah, I want you to, if you can, go to the 12th. No, excuse me. No, yeah, let's go to the 15th slide.
The 15th slide?
Yes.
All
right. So right here we see Ethiopian Bible is the oldest and most complete on the earth. Illustrated Bible. The world's first illustrated Christian Bible discovered at Ethiopian monastery. The world's earliest illustrated Christian book has been saved by a British charity which located it at a remote Ethiopian monastery. The incredible Garima Gospel are named after a monk who arrived in the African country in the 5th century and is said to have copied them out of in just one day. Beautifully illustrated, the colors are still vivid and thanks to the Ethiopian Heritage Fund have been conserved. Abba Garima arrived from Constantinople, Turkey, Anatolia in 494 AD. And the legend has it, according to who? The Ethiopians themselves, that he was able to copy the Gospels in a day because God delayed the sun from setting. Please move to the next script. To the next slide, please. Now, this is from a page out of the world's oldest Christian book found in the remote monastery in Ethiopia. Now, does that look like an Afro-Asiatic to you, bro? His hair matches his eyebrows, man. Stop. Come on. We can move on to the next slide. Here, they say they were written on goat skin in the early Ethiopian language, Ge'ez. There are 2 volumes which date from the same time, but the second written in a different hand from the first. Both contain illustrations and the 4 Gospels. Though the text had been mentioned on the occasional traveler since the 1950s, it had been thought they dated from the 11th century at the earliest. Carbon dating has, however, has dated it between 330 after the Council of Nicaea and 650, which tangentially overlaps the date of Abba Garima arrived in the country. So that could be all just mythos, which it probably is. So the first volume could be in his hands, and then somebody else could have, based on oral traditions, completed the second copy, right? You can move on to the 18th slide. These look like the same saints, basically, that we would have over here today, bro. But this is supposed to be Afro-Asiatic, right? These are the 9 saints at Abba Pentuella Monastery near Axum, Ethiopia, bro. Right? And then moving on to the next slide real quick. And it says the 9 saints were a group of missionaries who were important to the initial growth of Christianity in what is now Ethiopia during the late 5th century. Their names were Abba Asfe, Abba Aleph, Abba Agari, Abba Garima, which we see he has days venerated to himself. That's who was supposed to have brought the first text. Abba Guba and Abba Liganas, and well, moving on. Frequently, frequently described as coming from Syria, only 2 or 3 actually came from that province. According to Paul B. Hens, others have been traced to Constantinople, Anatolia, and even Rome. And others, right? Now, he says it's so much different. Now, in the book of Enoch that we have today, which was put in the which is in the Apocrypha, whether it's canonized or not, it seems to say the same thing. If you can move on to the last slide real quick, it seems to show Moses not being Afro-Asiatic, but actually being something quite different. And this is the book of Enoch 105, verses 1 through 4, and including 10. And it says, after a time, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech. She became pregnant by him.
Time. Shout out to Out the Blue for dropping that science. We're going to allow Orthodox More to close this thing out as well. The timer is set for 5 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your closing, brother.
Yo, it's sad that you and Strap try to use that same argument. So real quick, on the cover of the Garima Gospels is Mark. And many people in Ethiopia look like this and are Afro-Asiatic. Many people look like this in Ethiopia right now. And the reason why Mark is on the cover of the Garima Gospels is because Mark is seen as the patriarch of the church in Alexandria, the Afro-Asiatic church that started that the Arian controversy bred its ground in. The Arian controversy goes back to a man named Origenes, who was also the Alexandrian school, who was underneath, again, this school started Mark, not by Peter, the rock of the Catholic Church, but by Mark. And again, just gonna go back to it real quick, family. Oh, hold on. Again, Frumentius is Syrian and Phoenician and Greek, born in Tyre. Tyre is Syria. He's Syrian and Greek. All right. And so he dies in 383. My man's talking about a Garima gospel in 490 something, right? So either Frumentius helped translate it or not. So at least by 383, you got to talk about the translation of the New Testament in Ethiopia, not this 494 concept. But again, I'm talking about this here. I'm not even talking about the New Testament because my man's argument was the Septuagint. He wanted to talk about the Pentateuch, the first 5 books. And these people, you want to tell me that they're not Afro-Asiatic and that they don't speak an Afro-Asiatic language and that their book that they came with was not Afro-Asiatic in origin in terms of language structure? Because again, it is what it is, family. Whether he wants to admit it or not, languages are not what he wants them to be. They are what they are. They're subdivided into Berber, Chadic, Cushitic, Egyptian, Omatic, and Semitic. And all the languages I'm talking about are Semitic based. And
are you breaking up, Ortho?
One by one, prove his premise. He did not prove that the Septuagint is supposedly the only ordained translation before any other translation. There's no citation of that whatsoever. Again, the Greek, Syrian, and Ethiopian traditions say that their Torahs came from being translated from Hebrew, an Afro-Asiatic language, into their respective tongues. He didn't cite anybody to the contrary. In fact, when I asked him, he confirmed it. He says that we don't see Christianity in Ethiopia until after the Council of Nicaea when it becomes mandated. Okay, cool. We're not talking about Christianity. We're talking about this tradition that starts with the Torah. So you got to start showing me Jewish stuff, Hebrew stuff. And again, I just showed that one to you, right? We just showed them coming up from Ethiopia with their own book translated from Hebrew. And my man's he's looking for scrolls, not understanding that Europeans did the same thing to Ethiopian that they did to us. So just like they raided and ransacked Egypt and whatnot, and the tombs in Egypt and all that type of stuff, just like they're raiding and ransacking Timbuktu right now, and all the scrolls down there. They ransacked other scrolls. They ransacked Ethiopian scrolls, and they told you that they did it. Oh, they told you that they did it. In 1868, this is the British Library right now. In 1868, a British expeditionary force laid siege to the mountain fortress of Ethiopian Emperor Tawadros in what was then Abyssinia. A 2-day auction of the spoils of war among the victorious troops resulted in more than 1,000 predominantly religious manuscripts making their way to Britain, with 350 manuscripts ending up in the British Library. I see thousands and then I see hundreds. That's a big discrepancy. Where'd they go? And my man wants it. It's crazy. But here's the crazy part, family. Here's the crazy part. I went out of my way to cite our people to you. I cited Drusilla Dungy Houston saying that it was Hebrew. No counter to it. No count. She's Afro-Asiatic, is she not? Oh. But on top of that, my man is saying this don't count. Let me go to these ages real quick. There we go. That's what I wanted to find. This timeline of our people and their liturgical work does not count. Now, when I debate Chris Harris, he's going to tell me that, oh, we plagiarized all this stuff from the Hymn to the Altan and from the Sebite scriptures of Kemet and whatnot. But when I claim it as my monotheistic tradition, my man's running for the hills. Running for the hills. And again, the concept was by language structure, by spiritual practice, and by cultural custom. He showed me with the above.
So shout out to Morris Assassin.
Man, you can't be serious, man. I was chilling, man, just building with my brothers, you know, trying to talk about the word, man, and save the people, heal the community. And now here go this sock puppet. Okay. All of a sudden, out the blue. I keep bombing on my enemies, I can't stop. The war machine #1, that's a tank top. So make it plain, then they rank drop. When the Most High use me to fall on their head like a raindrop. And I thank God for keeping my brain charged. Meanwhile, they out of commission like old train yard. And they ain't smart, if they were, they wouldn't blame God. When we all have been found guilty of the same charge. I see you molding in your scully episode of X-Files. Spin projectiles out your mouth, reptile. Your lifestyle out of bounds, smoking black and miles. Sock puppet and a stepchild, that's wild. I'm like, wow, very small dog, bow wow. Bow down to the Most High, pow pow. Line them up, buffet style, I'm a child down. Black tongue in my mouth, no chow chow. Out the blue, I show why you smoking loud. You thought it was a game, now you about to find out. Your aura phony, Torah only, Torah nice. You changed up on all your homies, and now you follow behind a full-grown child that can't change his diapers. Fight the righteous, slice your life or take your license. You're not driving, I'm freestyling, I'm not riding. I'm so excited. I took your best shot and I'm still standing. Your scholarship need a babysitter and a nanny. If your chick feel the A and you feel some type of way when I say I pop eyes, no chicken sandwich. The word of God on full display. Your garbage can rap, no mixtape. It's like you just got hired, no sick days. Tanks on the ground, you got a pocket knife, switchblade. Strategy is simple, my flow colder than December. Flow colder than the winter in Virginia. Better remember, I'm a part of God's agenda. A product of inner city living, ghetto environment, different apartment buildings. Love my sentences, rob my innocence, dog my lineage. Yahweh listening. With all these images, Uncle Tom affiliates doing all they dirty work. You might as well try to hurt. Blood is on your fingertips. You didn't see the need to wear protection. Now diseases got you leaking out your penis tip. You couldn't see the forest for the trees in front of you. Fruit hanging on the leaves in front of you. Feel done. Let's begin the conversation and end the speculation. Patiently waiting for them like a room reservation. Hands down, living legend of my generation. You can't even make that kind of statement. You lacking accreditation. Bar for bar, murder you with no statute of limitation. Destroying every idol and statue of your creation. They attack the Reformation. I'm back with revelation. I be rapping to the rapture, snatch the congregation. Revolution in my blood. When I rap, you feel it. When I walk, mountains tremble. Jack be nimble. Snap drum, hi-hats and cymbals. Boy, you wanna be the Lion King, but it's not that simple. Not that simple. Act on impulse. I just pinpoint above your head like the Batman symbol. Chances slimmer than Kylie Jenner. might handle the snake bite, but can't survive the venom. Ants preparing the summer to survive the winter. Your lack of preparation already decide the winner. Longevity, man, you couldn't out-rap me if I was 70, living in the 70s. They keep coming back for more, I got the recipe. I make you hide your face from me like leprosy. Bite down on my style, no ecstasy. Flip the pie for me, add a little extra cheese. My weaponry got a Navy SEAL pedigree. I love competition, I utilize it for therapy. The complexity is not a necessity. I do it to show you ain't none of y'all standing next to me. The fact that you think less of me, bringing out the best of me, bringing out the beast in me. What did you expect to see? Skip past the pleasantry, you better tread carefully. The Most High selected me, His angels are protecting me. If we talking legacy, manifest destiny, I'm not talking Chinese food restaurant when I say open sesame. It's heresy to speak my name with jealousy. Hopefully I've cleared up any discrepancy. Sock puppet. I ain't even had to kill you like that. Man, dang, I ain't had to kill him like that.
Put this on.